Hello and welcome, Magic lovers. So I got a reasonable response to the 4-player commander. Not as many views as some of my 1v1 commander decks, but a lot of likes. So the people that did watch it liked it. So I figure I'll keep doing it. I've got a bunch of decks that I like to show off that I think are fun. I probably won't do a regular schedule for this, whereas I will try and stick to a regular schedule for the 1v1 commander decks. But and I'll probably also try to change the icons so it's a little more visible which kind of game I'm playing. So that if you're only looking for one type, you can just mentally filter out the 4-player or the 1v1. If you're just looking for one type of commander game, to each their own. But so this week I've got Oloro, much reviled. It's got that ability in the command zone where you gain 2 life. And in fact, in this deck, I don't usually play Oloro unless I am desperate. So I built this deck at the height of Marin of Clan Toth. I'll put it on the screen. So that one is a very graveyard interactive card. And I got tired of that deck. It was very, very good at the time. It's still very good, but it was really popular. It was the most popular deck at the time. Also, Carador is another very popular graveyard deck. So I built the deck with like 20 main deck graveyard hate cards. It's just, Leyline of the Void and Rest in Peace, but also there's not many effects that actually kill creatures. That kills creatures. But there's a lot of things that exile creatures or put them on the bottom of the library. So I'm looking to have creatures go away. There's Progenitus, Spellbomb. I was originally going to make this an Abzan deck and include Ground Seal and Scavenging Ooze. And it ended up that there's just not actually as much green graveyard hate as you'd think. There's not a lot in black either, but black has Leyline of the Void, which is great, and also black is just a great control color, whereas green really isn't. So I added the blue control elements and the blue card draw elements, and I just went with the Esper, and as a result, I went with Oloro. It's kind of like a commander that fits in. It draws cards if you need it to. Mostly you can draw cards out of your deck, so you don't play it because there are a lot of rats and stuff like that going on. Also, this deck is really good at dealing with gods because there's Return to Dust. Obviously they turn into a creature. You can exile them or put them on the bottom of their library, which just deal with puts it back in the command zone unless they're playing gods out of their deck. The 5-color gods deck was pretty popular back when I made this deck, and then there's just plain erase, exile target enchantment, and other things, Utter End, Anguish Unmaking. There's a lot of main deck ways. Main deck, there's no sideboard, but there's a lot of ways in the deck. It's one of the most capable of dealing with gods out of all the commander decks that I have. And then the point is to win with like a giant Debt to the Debtless or Exsanguinate or Sanguine Bond from all the life gain. So that it's kind of a slow grind, and some people don't really like playing against this deck, but I think it's a fun deck from my point of view at least. So let's see how it does in a game. Alright, got us a 4-player commander game. I am on the play. And I have 1 land, and this deck is mana hungry. So we'll take our mulligan to 7. And 2 great removal spells, an erase, a graveyard hate card. Corona, the False God, is 1 commander. That one goes to each player. That one actually, this deck has a hard time dealing with haste creatures, so I'm going to have a hard time with this one. So we'll auto yield to my ability, and then we've got Guafa. Put a bribery counter. So creatures with bribery counters, not going to affect me. Might affect Carador. That's actually pretty good for me because, or Corona. I'm I'm going to take another land. And then I'm going to F8. If I can. Okay, I can. And then we've got another Oloro over here. So probably not the same deck as me. There's a lot of different decks that you can build around Oloro. So we'll see how that goes. So, alright, everyone played their land. Waffle left their island untapped. And it's my turn again. Drew that swamp that I'm going to go ahead and play the Weather Witch. Withered Wretch. I pronounced both of those names incorrectly. Bad Brawler is curious to see my spin on Oloro. They might be playing Oloro Zombies. We'll see. So we got an opt over here. Player over here. Did nothing. This is on their turn. Nope, this is beginning of combat on this person's turn. They opted. So that's why they left the island open. And missed a land drop. That's unfortunate. Alright, they accidentally skipped their turn 2 land drop. That sucks. Alright, Vivid Marsh over here for the Oloro opponent. Gonna play this island. And I'm not gonna attack. Again, I don't like making enemies early game. If you're playing a game against friends where you can talk, you might be able to explain why you're attacking people. But this deck doesn't win by attacking. If you're playing a deck that wins by attacking, then you attack in the early game. But if you're not playing a deck that wins, if your deck doesn't win by attacking, then attacking in the early game has a high risk to a low reward. So people tend to take it personally on Magic Online, and they start attacking you back. Graveyard hate. Yes, I have a lot of graveyard hate. Alright, opponent finally plays their second land. Unfortunate for them that they skipped a turn. Sometimes it can be beneficial to be behind in Commander. Usually the first person to come out ahead ends up getting ganged up on by the three other players, and then the second or third person to start taking an advantage off of that is the person that wins. So coming out of the gates early can usually be a bad thing, whereas coming in slow, but then coming through strong in the follow-up can be a very profitable strategy. Alright, we got a propaganda. I'm going to go ahead and exile this person's library. Oops, I meant to control click. Not technically correct to not yield in between these plays, but it's whatever. It just saves a couple of seconds, and I doubt my opponent has something that can interact with it like that. Alright, Reliquary Tower, pretty good. We'll go ahead and we'll play the Swamp. Still not attacking. I'll arise for the Oloro National Anthem. I don't know what that is. So, I'm also playing Propaganda in my deck. So it looks like they're controlling variant. Alright, we got Dawn's Reflection on a land. So this one, not seen very often. When it's tapped, it creates 2 additional mana? Yeah, an additional 2 mana. So it turns a single land into 3 mana land. And we also have a Chromatic Lantern. So my deck plays a lot of mana artifacts. I'd like to be ramping like that, but I'm not. Chroma can attack the opponent that that owns it. It's not one of those newer templated commander cards that says that it can't. So tap land here for Owafa and an Island Sanctuary. Alright, opponent plays a copy enchantment. I don't have another white yet for this austere command, but it might be getting close to time to destroy all artifacts and enchantments. So hopefully I draw a white mana in the next couple turns. Oh, that's an artifact. I'm going to play it anyways. And I'm going to play this tap land. Maybe I should have, because Utter End? I don't know. Alright, there's a Mirari's Wake, a very dangerous card. I will definitely be destroying all enchantments next turn. I don't know about artifacts. I might go creatures greater than 3 mana. Or 4 mana. So hopefully my opponents play some of those. That would be very good. Opponent just tapped a ton of mana and then passed the turn. So they're F8ing. Nothing more to do with 6 mana. But they didn't have the right color because of the Dawn's Reflection. And any combination, they should have been able to, I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to. Alright, we got Norn's Annex, which is an artifact. It's a weird one. It's another propaganda type effect. And except you can pay Phyrexian mana instead, or white mana to get past it. All right, and we have a chromatic lantern. I think I still don't want to exile all artifacts or destroy all artifacts. Return to dust. All right. It's pretty good. I don't know if is dealing with 2 things good enough. The wake and the double mana thing. I'll make an enemy, that's for sure. I won't have any white mana left to Anguish Unmaking or Utter End if Corona comes at me. It's a little more value long term. Pretty sure I just made an enemy. The other enchantments aren't really that threatening. But all that mana, that was a lot of mana. Opponent specifically says, well, now I know which Oloro to go for. And I added, that was a lot of mana. And then we have a Sandworm Convergence. Jeez. Alright. Opponent is going nuts. Alright, we have a Court Hussar. Fun little card from Dissension. If you pay white while spending it, you draw a card. Oh no, you look at the top 3 cards and you like impulse kind of. And they get, oh okay. Oh, it happens no matter what, and then if you didn't spend white, you sacrifice it. So that's the way it works. The Corona player, by the way, said it was the right play, but they're vengeful. So that's the way it goes on Magic Online sometimes. People have a tendency to really take it, personally when you attack. Put a gold counter on it. All right. Orification. That one. So people really protecting themselves. I could use one of those because I am going to be the target soon. So nothing in any graveyards. We'll just pass the turn. I can just use this erase. It leaves me open. Oh, that's a good card. I can cast it. All right. So we'll just pass the turn. I don't know if I care about the Sandward Convergence, if I can Sphinx's Revelation for one more card. So what do I get? 4 versus 3? Now once the Sphinx's maybe I could wait a turn or two. I don't have any way to get anything back from my graveyard because I play too much graveyard hate. So once I play the Sphinx's Revelation, it's gone. There's no Snapcaster Mage. There's no anything like that. Alright, here's Corona. So I might need to wait a turn and erase the Sandward Convergence and utter end Corona here. Otherwise, I'm taking a ton of damage. Yep, right at me. We'll lose a 3 life. If I don't kill it now, every other opponent's going to attack me with it. Alright, they're tapping mana. Not sure what that's about. Alright, they're not going to like this very much. Alright, we got a relatively new one. Baird, Steward of Argive. Argive? Creatures can't attack you or Planeswalker control unless their controllers pay 1. A lot of these Ghostly Quarter, or not, Ghostly Prison type cards. Which sucks, because I have a whole bunch of them. I haven't drawn any. And Corona, that means Corona is going to be coming pretty much exclusively at me. And as I said, haste cards are my weakness. I do have some spot removal, but I will eventually run out. Bejeweled Bog targeting me doesn't really concern me. Again, no ways to get anything back from my graveyard whatsoever. But there's nobody else's graveyard at all, so it makes sense. Opponent doesn't know that. And we have a Detention Sphere. I don't know what's going after. The Weathered Wretch. Okay. So, probably... If they said they were playing zombies, although I've seen nothing but control deck. I hate how Magic Online does this in Commander games. Instead of putting it under the card, it puts it on my side of the board. It's very weird. Alright, well that's pretty good. It's definitely worth taking a turn off to play this. We've got the Utter End, so we can deal with Corona again, and then it becomes hopefully prohibitively expensive. And then we can do a big Sphinx's Revelation. So yep, Corona's back. They can play it again next turn, unfortunately. So I'm not that worried about the worm or anything like that. It's the commander damage that's a huge problem. And they can only attack me. And it's getting a bit annoying. So let's put it back in its place. Opponent says, I run all they hate. Oh no, that's the Oloro opponent. Yes, it is a very hateful deck. It's designed to hate on specific types of decks. Corona player says it's okay, he's wasting it all on a commander. True, that's what I was saying. It does eventually run out. But, I mean, that's all I can do. If I take, 3 hits from this, I'm dead. Alright, Guafa's been played. Opponent decided not to attack me, so that's nice. Alright, Oloro opponent plays nothing. Alright, it's an answer. It means I can't play my Sphinx's Revelation, but at least I live. I don't know if the commander damage stacks if it's from different opponents, but I think it does. Alright, we got a Mesa Enchantress, so that's good. Opponent's not attacking me with Corona this turn. So I'm very, very happy. I can possibly wait and pitch something to the Force of Will later. Energy Flux, all artifacts. That's not fun. It may be time to destroy all enchantments. I get my Withered Wretch. When it dies, exile target permanent. Alright, so I won't be killing that. I could kill that. Alright, taking a 5/5. No problems there. Alright, Guafa opponent paid 2 mana for their Norn's Annex, and now they're attacking me. So I'm getting a lot of hate here. It's not especially surprising. Alright, we got a Scroll Rack, which has an upkeep cost now. And they're activating the Scroll Rack. Alright, I'm hoping for no counters here. Go blue, blue. Make a white. Everything else is insignificant. Draw 7 cards. Alright, it worked. We have all of 1 blue card. And I'm going to pay this 4 mana, and then I'm going to blow up all enchantments, I think. Alright, drew an Aetherflux Reservoir, which is a really good card. And I'm going to destroy all creatures with mana cost 3 or less. I'll keep up blue. Let's keep up white-black. Not that it matters. It's a better bluff, though. Especially if I'm untapping mana to do it. Destroy all enchantments. Destroy all creatures with mana cost 3 or less. Doesn't kill the Archon. Kills the Mesa Enchantress. Which is good. Gets me my Weathered Wretch back. So all in all, a good turn for me. Especially with the Sphinxes. Oh, and I have I was looking at what to discard, but I have a Reliquary Tower. It's on like Donkey Kong. Alright, we got a Rampant Growth. Corona player down to 0 cards in their hand. Alright, I have to counter Corona. I'm going to get so much hate now. Alright, and the 4/4 is coming at me, no surprises there. I can play Bind Obedience next turn, which slows down the Corona quite a bit. Alright, Guafa is back. Again, doesn't really concern me. Just makes creatures basically, it pacifies creatures. And I don't play many of those. Barrett is attacking the other Oloro player and getting mazed. Oh, that's not good. Tainted Remedy. If a player would gain life, it loses that much life instead. So I'm going to need to find an answer to that. And I think the Mesa enchantment... Ooh, the opponent says. We'll get rid of the Mesa Enchantress. So I guess I won't be playing the Aetherflux Reservoir next turn. I was planning on it. Now I'm not. So let's play Blind Obedience. Let's play Phyrexian Arena. Not going to extort. Is this if an opponent? Okay. And then we'll play the Temple of Deceit to look at our next card. We don't need another Plains. And we'll just say go. Yeah. Oloro doesn't make any sense here either. Opponent's very happy about the Tainted Remedy. Sterling Grove. Okay. So planning an enchantment deck. Lots of conversation going on. You don't see that in Magic Magic Online all the time. It's kind of cool. All right, so they're searching their library for an enchantment, revealing it, and it goes on top of their library. They have 0 cards in hand, so they won't be drawing a card this turn. Zendikar Resurgence. So I don't have another austere command. I've actually run through most of my enchantment removal. Alright, getting attacked by the Archon, of course. Alright, Banishing Light. I assume it's going for my arena. Which sucks. I drew a lot of cards off of that Sphinx's Revelation, and I need some cards. I need some answers. Oh, it's going after the Blind Obedience. Okay. Still, I mean, I wanted that card, obviously. Man, maybe I should have waited a couple of turns on that austere command, but paying 4 mana for my mana rocks wasn't good, and I was doing well on mana. Alright, getting attacked by Baird. Almost back down to my starting life total. Alright, a Return to Dust that isn't hitting my arena. I think that's wrong. I mean, the loss of life matters, but Arena is a very good card. Let's tap all our mana first. Maybe that was wrong. And I should probably control click to make this go a little faster. There we go. Okay. And naturally, I drew 2 more lands. So I'm in trouble here. We'll use the Temple, and we will put Mortify on top of our library. Mortify is a good card. And so we'll see if we're getting Corona'd here. Oh, they probably want to play the Zendikar Resurgent, of course, yes. So I do have a turn. I've got Mortify. Mortify deals with an enchantment as well. So I can get rid of the Tainted Remedy if I draw something else to deal with Corona. Taking more damage from the Archon, not getting a lot of love here. Opponents are talking about bowling in the chat because one of my opponents' name is Bad Bowler. And they're saying that they are indeed not a good bowler. Baird attacking the opponent with Maze again. Not sure. They actually paid mana to do that. Apparently they forgot about the Maze. I didn't. Alright, we got to destroy all creatures. Then put an XXXX. So we're going to deal with my opponent's graveyard. The Archon's coming around. It's going to die. It's going to exile something. Hopefully not something of mine, but opponent has made it clear they are very interested in killing me. Yep, it's the arena. That's too bad. I was hoping that that thing wouldn't die. I was hoping I'd get to an exile or some sort of effect. A lot of good rests in this deck that deal with that. Haven't drawn any of them. Alright, I'm going to play the Strand to get another land out of my library. So with the Zendikar Resurgent, my opponent can just replay Corona forever. I maybe could have killed that. I don't know, it doesn't feel like that was the right move. I'm short on turns. As I said, haste creatures are a huge problem for this deck. And I unfortunately got one, was paired up against one that can kill on turn one, or, you know, on the turn it attacks that it's played. So, alright. So now I kill it. Especially if it attacks me, which, I mean, is there any doubt? Please stop. I mean, I had to destroy their things, otherwise they'd be even further ahead. Alright, Guafa is back for all of my opponent's mana. Alright, so we got Ashes of the Aberrant. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or active abilities of cards in graveyards. So, not going to affect me. Again, playing too much graveyard hate to even bother. Alright, I'm getting attacked. Man, I am feeling the hate. So that means I'm almost certainly dead to Corona next turn. What do we got? We got Godless Shrine, I guess. Oop. I could play Oloro as a blocker. I guess I gotta do that. And one more mana. I've got a... Finally drew a Descent upon the Sinful. I do get a 4/4 Angel for that. my opponent hadn't played this Tainted Remedy, I might have been able to Aetherflux Reservoir Corona out of the game. Man, that is a lot of mana. Is that how much it cost? It can't cost that much. No, they still have tons of mana. And they draw a card. I'm not sure why they tapped out like that. And I'm getting arrested, so I guess we find out if the commander damage crosses over. Trace of Abundance on a land. And naturally I'm getting attacked here. I'm not going to concede for two reasons. One, I think it's kind of a bad sportsman thing to do. Make somebody kill you. Haha, I got through. You know, otherwise it skews the game when somebody else gets to... Only took me 14 turns. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard card for me to deal with. I dealt with it as long as I could. But it skews the game when you concede prematurely and then they get to attack somebody else instead of you. It changes the format. You can actually kind of decide who wins that way. So I'm going to make them kill me. Creatures you control have flying. They might not actually kill me. And commander damage might not. I don't know how it works. So it might actually take 3 separate attacks, although my life total is super low. Alright, Bad Bowler is getting attacked. So that's interesting. Except they forgot about the maze again? I don't know. And predictably, there's the maze. Alright, looks like this Oloro opponent's going straight to attacks. Attacking me with both creatures. Man, I am not loved. This happens a lot, actually, with this deck. It wins, you know, it wins a decent amount of time, but when it doesn't win, it's because everyone hates you and you're not able to fully control the board. Alright, so the commander damage does stack. So, and then there's a Wrath. So I was playing correctly. I was worried that it wouldn't, and then I would have been playing incorrectly. But I'm going to make Corona attack me. So we got a Scroll Wreck. Alright, we got a Rest in Peace. So I get a little bit of disruption before I die. Let's exile all cards in graveyards. We'll try to survive. Maybe then I won't get attacked. Doesn't seem likely. Might as well play this land. Not that it's going to matter. Can I play land? There we go. Alright, here's Corona. Opponent still has, like, 9 mana left. And we got a Verduran enchantment. Enchantress. White border for the win. Alright, Bad Bowler is being attacked, which there's a Maze of Ith. Oh, no, it's me. So I have to block for 2 different reasons. I die to damage and commander damage. Unfortunately, now this thing is +3/+3. I thought it was +3/+0. It's +3/+3. So there was no. It was always going to be a chump block, even if Oloro somehow magically had 5 power. It would need 8 power. Alright, we got Azor the Lawbringer. Very cool card. Lets you Sphinx's Revelation when you attack. And when it enters the battlefield, each opponent can't cast instants or sorcery spells during their next turn. So I can't cast this Descent of the Sinful. Not that it's likely that I live that long. Alright, looks like I'm not living at all. I'm going to toss them the GG. Going to stay around and see who won. I'm not going to cherry pick, by the way, in this series of 4-player commander decks. I'm not going to cherry pick just games in which I win. I think it's not very interesting if you know what the outcome's going to be. So, you know, I'm going to pick some games that I lose. I might cherry pick games that are interesting. A lot of times in Magic Online, you get games where people concede really early and it skews the game, or you get games where your deck doesn't really, you know, your mana's screwed and your deck doesn't really get to show off what it can do, and those kind of things. And so I might skip those games. Usually they're pretty short anyways. I definitely think this game was interesting. So I'm definitely going to keep it around. So while my opponents are playing, I'm going to talk about the things that maybe I could have done differently. So the turn after I Sphinx's Revelation, instead of austere commanding to get rid of enchantments, I could have played the Blind Obedience, and that I wouldn't have been forced to Force of Will Corona. That might have been correct. I would have had to pay for my mana rocks for another turn. Possibly some of my other opponents might have not paid for their mana rocks. Who knows? So, and then there were a lot of good enchantments that were played after that. So maybe I would have gotten an extra 1 or 2 of those. I don't know. It's hard to say. I probably would have been correct there. The other thing I could have done is I could have mortified the Zendikar Resurgent. But I'm pretty sure I didn't add up the mana, and unfortunately they used to put tokens on commanders to say how many times they had been played, so I didn't even know how much mana, like I don't know how to find out how much mana Corona would have cost. Pretty sure they had enough mana, and if everybody attacked me with Corona that turn, which seemed likely, I would have died on the spot if I had killed Zendikar Resurgent. So I don't think that was the right play, because I'm pretty sure they had enough mana to play it, and I would have just died. And also, I would have gotten rid of the one card that could have dealt with it the following turn, and I wasn't sure what I was going to be drawing. So I think, in reality, there wasn't a lot I could do. I wasn't able to play against my strengths, and return all attacking creatures to their hand. That's interesting. So I wasn't able to play to my strengths, and I was forced to play against my weaknesses. So there's not really anybody doing any... I mean, maybe there's somebody with graveyards, but they're not suffering very much as a result of their graveyards being exiled. Whereas some decks, there's still a lot of graveyard interaction that goes on in Commander all the time, which is why Oloro, you know, playing a lot of graveyard hate is going to be good most of the time. So... yeah, I mean, so I wasn't able to play against something that the deck is good against, and I was forced to play against a hasty commander, which very specifically, I said at the very beginning, very bad matchup for this deck. So, it happens. But I still think it's a cool and interesting deck. Deck and game. The other thing I could have done is I could have not killed the Mirari's Wake, which I think was distinctly wrong. But maybe somebody else would have done it, or, I mean... nobody had done it yet, so it seemed unlikely. Or I could have just not killed Dawn's Reflection, and maybe I wouldn't have got as much hate. It was definitely the best other card on the table at the time. I don't know. But maybe I could have not killed the Mirari's Wake. I knew it would be inciting the hate of the opponent that had the strongest commander against me. Hard to say. Don't want to live in too much regret. Still a Mazavith. Yep, and there's the Mace. I am, by the way, running a Mazavith in my deck. I just never ran it, or never found it. So, you know. I also, you know, Sphere of Safety, Ghostly Prison, Propaganda would have all been pretty good, especially when the Corona opponent was low on mana before they played the Zendikar Resurgent. For a while now, and it could go either way. Azor the Lawbringer is still on the table. It's a very good card. Opponent over here is at 74 life, doing a good job of controlling the board, much better than I did. And then opponent over here is drawing more cards than anybody else, which usually is pretty deterministic. But Azor the Lawbringer might change that. They can't really attack this person though because of the. All right, both attacks going at Corona, and it looks like we're going for a big Sphinx's. Oh. I don't know what they tapped mana for. Oh. This one... Oh, with the triggers on the stack, it won't show you who's attacking who. So one of these went at Bad Bowler. I'm not sure which. Probably Corona, because it has the best opportunity to kill that opponent because of the commander damage. Nope, looks like I was exactly wrong. Azor is... Oh, they pumped up the Azor to do 9 damage to Bad Bowler. I'm not sure that's correct. And then Corona is attacking the Corona player over here. Guafa player drew up to 9 cards. So that's pretty good. Alright, we have a Life's Finale post-attack with the Corona. Funny that opponents just drawing more and more cards with Zendikar Resurgent because they just get to keep playing their commander. It's getting pretty expensive, but they're still quite able to pay it. Got a Luminarch Ascension over here. And no why do I keep calling it Carador? It's Corona. Carador is an entirely different commander. Alright, and we got a Destroy All Artifacts and Enchantments, a Cleansing Nova from the Guafa player. So that's going to do some damage to people's board states. Looks like Corona's going to have a hard time coming down anymore, and the card draw engine is stopped. Alright, so the Corona player Rage Disconnected in response to the Cleansing Nova, and I helped talk an opponent through how to eject. You just type /eject, and then you type their name. And it is case sensitive. You have to type their name exactly as it is spelled. So we can close that down. So you can, unfortunately, if you're the only other player, you can't eject the other person. You just have to wait out the 10 minutes. Alright, so we got another Wrath here. Not that the Court Cartographer and the Hover Barrier were particularly interesting. Dealing with 4 cards against 1. Got a Marshoku for 10, destroying opponent's own Guafa, which they played last turn, and making 10 1/1s. And on like turn 19, Oloro comes down. Yep, turn 19. Alright, so we got a Plumes of Peace, which just doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Doesn't actually tap it. Opponent said something about that. I forgot to forecast first. Yeah, so they could just block with it forever and never attack with it, and that's not going to be a problem. So, not a particularly strong play. Alright, they followed it up with a Detained creature, Azorius Arrestor. And we got ourselves an 8-turn clock. Hard to imagine that an opponent who's drawing 2 cards a turn, possibly more, isn't going to be able to find an answer to that, though. Oh, wow, we got a Replenish. That's a big one. So, opponent just played Wave of Inertia, so they have to exile a card from their graveyard. If they can't attack. And I'm not sure why my opponent negated it, because they had 8-10 cards in their library. It wasn't a card that worried me. But then they were not able to negate their Replenish, which I guess isn't that great. But the Ghostly Prison actually is really good. And if only I were around to get rid of all those enchantments. I had Rest in Peace in play. And we got an Oblivion Ring, probably killing Oloro. Nope, targeting the Ghostly Prison. And Oloro can block now. Oh, Darksteel Mutation. Now it's a 0/1. And it's indestructible. So, steps up the clock a bit, although they're gaining 2 life every turn. So I guess it wasn't an 8-turn clock to begin with. Alright, we got a Banishing Light from the opponent playing Oloro. Probably hitting the Oblivion Ring, giving back them the Ghostly Prison. Oh, the Darksteel Mutation. Forgot about that one, yeah. And that's pretty good. Alright, the Guafa opponent is down to 0 cards in hand. And the Oloro opponent has 8. And he can deal with these creatures on board. I'm not sure why Guafa hasn't been played. I mean, it's not particularly good against Oloro. But Oloro blocking, and then they get the Ashes, the Aberrant. So when a creature dies, he gains 1 life. So it's not looking good for Guafa over here. Paradoxical Haze gives my opponent another upkeep from which to gain life and then to draw more cards. And then Greed, a way to spend that life to draw more cards. Alright, Guafa drew Clone and has decided to clone Oloro, which is interesting. Still pretty far behind in the card draw race. Oloro opponent says, hey, that is copyright infringement. So I just realized that a lot of those cards in their hand are actually land tax lands. So they might not be as far ahead on cards as I thought. Although, it's probably pulling that way now. And we have a Damnation. Man, Oloro decks, they always do that, don't they? They play just a ton of Wraths. I mean, I did the same thing, so I certainly can't fault them. But having another Oloro on the board, I get it. Certainly slowing the game down a lot. Don't see this very often. Cool Time Spirals card, Ith the Arcanist, based on obviously Maze of Ith. And it's 7 mana, 3/5 with Suspend. They played it for 7 mana. And you get a Maze of Ith ability on a creature. Not particularly good. But interesting, you don't see it very often. So a bunch of turns have passed, and not that much interesting has gone on. People have played creatures, and then Oloro has destroyed creatures. Oloro actually just destroyed his own Paradox Haze and Greed. I'm not sure why. There's another Wrath. I'm not sure this deck has a win condition in it. Oh, so the Oloro opponent just played an Aetherflux Reservoir and is 50ing the opponent. I wonder if that's the only win condition in their entire deck. Alright, so I guess at least we got to see another Oloro deck win, although that deck was more endemic of the control problem of the Oloro. You just play a bunch of Wraths. That deck played way more Wraths. I'm looking for a specific type of Wrath, which there is a limited number of. Yeah, I mean, it's still interesting. You know, a lot of the Oloro decks end up being very slow and very grinding, and if I had been able to continue playing, it probably would have been the same from my side as well. So, you know, but it's still very interesting. So I skipped ahead a bunch. I don't think it's particularly interesting, the game, once I'm no longer in it. I think even for the viewers, I think people probably would still want to know who won, but I skipped ahead and did the highlights. Let me know what you think of that. There are a couple other options I can do. I can do the complete blow-by-blow, which I don't think I'm ever going to do. I can do the highlights like I did. I can just jump into the replay and, you know, whiz through the end of the game with those players. Or I can just skip right ahead to the end and just say, hey, this person won. I might try the replay thing next time and see how that goes. But let me know what your opinions are when I lose the game, what I should do. But, yeah, it's an interesting game. It's more of a metagame deck than anything else. But, I enjoy it. So thank you for watching. Have a good night.